Welcome to Movie Recap. Today we are going to explain 2023 release movie, Sector 36. This movie contains many Indian names, and I'm sorry if I am not able to properly pronounce them. You can correct me in the comment section. At the beginning of the movie, we see a house help named Prem, who was an admirer of a show called Do You Want to Be a Millionaire? Prem knows every single answer of the show, indicating that he has a sharp mind. He works as a house help in Bussy House, who is an industrialist from Haryana and lives in Mumbai. Prem's family lives in village, and including his wife and a daughter. His living was very lavish for a house help, as the owner of the house mostly lives in Mumbai and only visit the house occasionally. In the next scene, we see that Prem grabs a butcher knife and goes inside the bathroom. We see that inside the bathroom there is a dead body of a girl. He starts chopping her into pieces. Then we see an inspector named Ram Chandra Pandey, who is very corrupted and was disloyal to his job. He thinks that it is useless to become a sincere police officer. He thinks that it is easy to do bad work, or rather ignore the bad work of others, than helping innocent. An old man is seen requesting Inspector Pandey to file a missing complaint of his daughter. Inspector Pandey refuses to register the complaint, as the man belonged to poor immigrants from Bihar, and their locality is infamous for selling their own kid for organ trafficking and crime. He says that your daughter must have run away with her lover. Don't worry, she will return back on her own. The old man then goes to paste the missing persons pamphlet on the police station's wall, and he sees many missing kids pamphlet on the wall similar to the one on his hand. He then realizes that his daughter is not the only one that has gone missing, but there has been similar numerous cases, and it was clearly visible that the police was not taking their job seriously. These were the same kids kidnapped and butchered by Prem. In the next scene, we see a group of local kids playing cricket. The cricket ball falls in a sewage drain. A kid named Ollie rushes towards the drain to fetch the ball. He finds the ball, but along with it, he finds a skeletal hand. Police comes the same place for investigation. It was the junction of resident of elite and immigrant. The police, without giving the evidence a second thought, rule it out to be the hand of a monkey. They shove the whole thing under a rug. We can see the Prem was peeping from the house. The house was just beside the sewage drain. At night, we see Ollie was off to market to buy some grocery as instructed by his father. On his way to the shop, he has to pass through a dark alley where he sees Prem, and Prem offers him chocolates. Ollie moves towards Prem to grab the chocolate, and Prem abducts Ollie. Prem used to assault and chop their bodies into pieces. He felt no remorse or guilt, because he knew that these kids belong to a very poor families, and no one's going to help them even if anything bad happens to their kids. Then scene shifts to past, where we see young Prem, who was living with his uncle, who was a butcher. His uncle used to sexually assault Prem, and Prem was going through it since ages. One day, Prem couldn't take it anymore, so he attacks his uncle with the butcher's knife and chops his uncle's body into pieces. Scene then shifts to present, where we see Prem taking a box out of the fridge and handing it to the compounder of the hospital. Prem used to chop the body parts into pieces and used to throw them down the drain by wrapping in polythene bags. Now we see an old man named Bussy. He was urging his granddaughter that he would help her change clothes. The granddaughter says that she wants her mother. The old man keeps on insisting and was about to exercise his power, but then suddenly his wife appears, and then he starts panicking, so he stops. He was the owner of the house where Prem was living in. The old man then starts talking on a phone. He says that tomorrow I'm coming there, and tell Chimki to be there when I arrive. Prem had killed so many kids, but by the looks of it, he was very composed, relaxed, and was enjoying his life. Now we see a scene of Dussehra. Dussehra is a story of victory of good over evil. It usually happens on the months of October and September. In this legend, Mata Sita is abducted by Ravan, who is a king of Lanka, and Lord Ram fights with Ravan and brings Sita back to home. In the movie, the Inspector Pandey acts a Ravan, and his sub-inspector were also acting in the play. They get interrupted by Chimki's father. The old man who was previously requesting to file the missing girl's complaint was Chimki's father. Chimki's father gets mad at Inspector and says that you are not looking for my daughter. You are wasting time by acting on such plays. You just swept everything under the rug. Your job as a police is to help us. What will you do if the same thing happens to your daughter? After hearing his daughter's name, Inspector Pandey becomes very angry, as he loves his daughter more than anything. Inspector Pandey says, "How dare you take my daughter's name? And do you expect us policemen to work 24/7? You don't think we have a personal life beside our job, do you? Did we tell you people to migrate to our place?" Prem was also present in the audience of the play. He was wearing Mask of Ravan and was searching for another prey. Prem grabs Inspector Pandey's daughter, but within a second, Inspector realizes that his daughter wasn't in sight. Without wasting a second, he goes in search of his daughter. he sees a man wearing Robin's mask and carrying his daughter. Inspector runs after the man, who is Prem. Prem realizes that he was about to get caught, so he drops the girl and starts running. The compounder was also in the scenes and was there with Prem. The compounder saw that Prem was being chased, so he pretends as an ambulance helper and helps the inspector's daughter and takes her to the hospital. Pandey chases after Prem, but could not catch him. Prem disappears in dark alley. Inspector has a moment of realization. He used to ignore everyone with a missing kid complaint, and today the victim could have been his own daughter. He starts feeling bad for the victim's family members, so he now decides to take his job seriously. In the next scene, we see a kid from a rich family on his way to school bus, but he was abducted by 3 men in motorcycle just in front of his house. We see that the inspector had called Chimki's father to discuss about the missing of his daughter. He then registers the FIR. Chimki's father says that a rickshaw dropped his daughter in front of a house in B5, and she always took the same rickshaw. It was the last time anyone saw Chimki. The media, police, everyone was involved in rich kid's missing case. Inspector goes to the B5 house, and we see that its owner was Bussy. The door was opened by Prem, who is acting all innocent. Inspector starts questioning Bussy, but Bussy threatens the inspector by saying that he has connections with powerful politicians and was very uncooperative during the questioning. Then Chimki's father arrives at the scene and starts yelling at Bussy. He says that Bussy has assaulted and kidnapped his daughter. Bussy says that he has paid a hefty amount for his daughter. The inspector realizes that Chimki's father was her pimp. Inspector gets angry at Chimki's father for pimping out his own daughter. Bussy then calls Pandey's senior officer and complains to him about Inspector Pandey. Inspector Pandey Sr. tells Pandey if he wants promotion, he should focus his attention in high-profile cases, and he should not bother innocent people like Bussy. He says if you want to succeed, you must do as I tell you, otherwise you will get in serious trouble. Now police has caught the rickshaw driver, who was the last person to be seen with Chimki before disappearing. They even found a phone from the rickshaw driver, which was an evidence related to the case. Inspector presents Chimki's case to his senior. He says that every time Chimki was pimped to a customer, she was taken by the same rickshaw. As any other day, the rickshaw had dropped Chimki in front of Bassy's house. Bussy used to give her a large amount of money every time she offered him her service. After some time, when the rickshaw driver went to the house to receive Chimki, he was greeted by Prem. Prem gave the phone to the rickshaw driver and asked him to dispose the phone somewhere. Rickshaw driver was innocent, but Prem was doing something shady. Inspector says we have to arrest Prem and investigate further in the case. The corrupted senior gets furious and says, despite my warning, you still went ahead and investigated the case. You did all this just to drag Bussy in the mess. I will suspend you for some time. This will help you think straight. Sadly, this is the reality of police force. They found the missing kid of the Richmond within 3 days, but wasn't willing to bait an eye towards the missing kids of poor people. It was a very sad moment of realization for Inspector Pandey. Inspector couldn't stay quiet and do nothing. He starts keeping an eye on Prem. He sees the compounder was involved with Prem. Bussy had his entire family in another state, but used to visit this house in B5 just to satisfy his lust. So it was not a house, but it was a brothel. He even used to record his provocative videos. Inspector now knows that Prem and compounder were doing some shady things. He and his sub-inspector track the compounder and abducts him. After some beating, the compounder confesses that he used to buy human organs from Prem. He used to pay a hefty amount. Sadly, Inspector Pandey was in suspension, and his corrupted senior was now promoted after solving the kidnapping case of the rich kid. But he knew that Inspector Pandey was still pursuing the Chimki's case, so he bribes the sub-inspector, who was working with Inspector Pandey, with sub-inspector's promotion in exchange for the information about the case. The corrupted senior was now posted to a new city, so Inspector Pandey had a new senior. We see some goons approaching the place where Inspector Pandey previously had hid the compounder in. They attack the compounder and take him with them. Inspector Pandey tells the new senior about the case. The new senior was a sincere police officer and was eager to solve the case. Inspector Pandey takes him to the location where they had kept the compounder, but to their shock, the compounder was nowhere to be seen. Inspector gets angry at the sub-inspector for not doing his job properly. Now the senior officer instructs Inspector Pandey to arrest Prem based on accusations made by the rickshaw driver. Even after arrest, Prem was relaxed and carefree. It seemed like he had nothing to worry about. As soon as the inspector enters the room, Prem falls to his knees and apologizes by saying, "I had no idea that she was your daughter. If I had known about it, I would have never abducted her during the play. Next time I will take that in consideration. I don't have much time because the show Who Wants to Become a Millionaire is about to air and I can't miss this episode. So please ask me whatever you want to ask, but hurry, I don't have much time." Inspector asks, "Do you know Chimki?" Prem replies, "Yes, I was the one who killed her by strangling her." Both the inspector and senior officer were shocked by his reply and how easily he confessed without hesitation. Prem again says that day Bussy was not in the house, so he made a call for Chimki's service for himself, but she belittled him by calling him a low-life servant. He also says, "Sir, she was giving me hints since day one. That day she drank tea, alcohol, but later refused to sleep with him. She was about to leave, but I grabbed her hand and said, 'I know you sleep with Bussy for money, so you can take the money from me and sleep with me instead.' Then, do you know what she did? She laughed on my face and said, 'You filthy lowlife. You think that you have the standard to sleep with me. Know your level.' Prem again yelled at her, 'You do it for money, so you can take it from me.' She replied that with this amount of money, you should do it to yourself." Prem says Chimki had no idea what my uncle used to do to me. She had no idea what I did to my uncle. She had no idea. I killed him and fed his meat to stray dogs. I also had my uncle's meat. If I can easily eat my uncle's liver, I can easily do anything to anyone. Even though I liked her, but it doesn't give her the right to insult me. So I killed her, and I know I don't have to worry about anything as my boss Bussy will easily take care of it. After killing her, I did what I wanted to do with her. What was her point of showing arrogance, as she had no control over her body after her death?" Prem goes on saying how he killed her and how he got rid of her body. He even confessed to killing other innocent kids. It didn't seem like he was confessing his crimes, but it seemed like he was boasting his achievements. Inspector again asks, "You don't just kill them. You also harvest their organs and sell them, don't you?" Prem replies, "Yes. Even if I assault them and consume their meat, there is no actual benefit, so I sell their organs for a hefty price." The sincere senior gets shocked after hearing that he consumes human meat, so he asks again, "What do you mean after consuming the meat?" Prem replies, "After killing and eating my uncle's meat, I got used to the taste of human meat. I started craving more human meat. I tried to control my urges for 2 years, but couldn't, so I gave in. I then started killing kids. I must have killed about 25 kids and have consumed their meat. I then sold their organs. Please ask me question fast, as I don't have much time left." Inspector Pandey slaps Prem and asks, "Why did you kill those kids?" Prem replies, "I didn't harm your daughter, so why do you care?" The inspector replies, "What difference does it make if it's my daughter or someone else's?" Prem gets furious and says they are not like your daughter. Don't compare them. No one cares for their lowlife. Even their own parents sell their kids for money. No one cares if they live or die. Their parents will give them birth. They will work as a house help in low wage, dream about big dreams, and will die by rotting in the slum. They should be thankful that I ended their miserable life and I used them for my benefit. They can never be of any use to anyone if they had been alive, but their bodies can be useful for me. I did nothing wrong. Don't worry, sir, they are numerous, and the parents will cry for their missing kids for about a month, then they will procreate new kids again, and forget about the missing kids. If 20 to 25 of them go missing, no one's going to care. But thanks to me, I have liberated them from their misery." Senior then asks, "Is Bussy also involved in this with you?" Prem replies that you can ask me anything else, but not this. The goons that had abducted the compounder have chopped his body into pieces and were burning his remnants. Prem was now arrested and put in jail, but he was just complaining that he was missing the show. The TV in the jail was playing the same show, and the woman wins the final round and becomes a millionaire. Prem was very happy with the ending. Next day, Prem shows the police places where he had buried the bodies. He was explaining everything in detail, like it was not a search for dead bodies, but a search for treasure chest. He even digs the ground without hesitation and takes the skull of a kid, its rest of the bones, and Chimki's bag. He also takes out many bodies out of the sewage canal near the house. Now, Bussy was also arrested. The victim's parents' blood was boiling, and they start destroying Bussy's property. Bussy had strong political connections, so everyone was trying to bail Bussy. Inspector Pandey was dismissed from his job. Case was then assigned to IBI committee, and its head was the previous corrupted senior. He was a well-wisher of Bussy. The senior talks with the media and puts the entire blame on Prem and announces that Bussy had no involvement in the case. Inspector Pandey listens to the news on TV and requests the senior to help him get in contact with Prem. He allows Inspector to meet Prem. Inspector asks Prem about the money that he had collected after organ trading. He says that his money has not reached to his wife as the compounder is dead. Prem, in his carefree attitude, says that his boss will bail him. Inspector informs Prem that Bussy had put all the blame on Prem and is saving himself. Now Prem can never walk as a free man. Inspector also says that Bussy is saving his own ass, so if Prem wants to help the police, he must confess about Bussy's involvement in the case. Prem says that his wife has a DVD cassette which has all the evidence. Inspector decides to go to Prem's village. His sub-inspector asks him, why is he getting involved in this? Please take care of yourself. After reaching Prem's village, he asks Prem's wife for the DVD. Inspector plays the DVD, and he sees the evil thing Bussy and Prem used to do on their victims. He realizes that these people are worse than animal, they are devil in man's disguise. He takes the DVD and was on the road waiting for someone to offer him lift. He sees a car approaching him, so he asks for lift. We see that the car had the same goons who killed Compounder, so they were Bussy's goons. They show Inspector Pandey a photo and tell him that they are looking for a man. When Inspector Pandey sees the photo, he realizes that it was his own picture. Before Inspector Pandey realizes that now he has fallen into the trap, goons attack him and kill him. They even throw the DVD out of their car. Fast forward to 6 months, we see that IBI has now announced Bussy is not linked with the case and is innocent. They even announced death penalty to Prem. We then see that Sub-Inspector was now promoted as Inspector. He was the one who informed the action of Inspector Pandey to his senior. He was a corrupt police officer. On the police board, we see a missing notice of Inspector Pandey. It was clear that the family couldn't even find his body, and no one had any idea what happened to him. Another junior officer was sad about Inspector Pandey's missing. He reads in a newspaper that 3 people were now arrested as a suspect in link with Inspector Pandey's disappearance. He gets a sense of relief about it. Then he gets a parcel in his door. He finds the DVD, which looks similar to Prem's DVD. We can clearly see that there was someone who wanted the culprit to suffer. But who was it? Now the movie ends. Friends, the story is based on a real-life incident called Nithari case. This was a case of 2016. The men like Prem, Bussy still exist, who still think that they are above law, and they can easily get away with doing anything. But unlike the movie, the police didn't take any action. The house owner's name was Moninder Singh, and the house help's name was Surinder Kohli, and they lived in Sector 31, which is named as Nithari. It's based on a real incident, but the reality is even disheartening. According to news, since no strong evidence were found that links Surinder, the house help and the owner, Moninder Singh, to the murders, now they are bailed from the jail and are living freely. The entire system is corrupted and are filled with such people the justice was not served in real life. This is actually very sad. What do you think? Because of such cases, we lose hope from law, and if similar cases were to happen to us, who will give us the justice? If you want to know more about this case, you will find many videos on the internet. But trust me, the real story is so